Well, good afternoon. I've been wanting to do this video for a really long time, and actually, the internet and the phone service has been so poor out here that I haven't been able to connect to live. So, this is a practice that I've been doing for really my whole life. Actually, you've been doing it too, in many ways, but you might be unaware that you're doing it, and because you are creating your destiny as you go. And I think we're all kind of born to learn how to master our destiny. And the more conscious you can be of these steps that you can take, then you can actually accomplish significantly more in your life. So I've been learning pieces of it throughout my entire life, and I really have built a nice summary here to kind of break down the steps that to master your destiny. And I am by no means a master at this, but I know these pieces work, and you can argue them, you can latch onto them, whatever you want to do, but just try it for yourself and see how this works for you, because this will make a significant difference in your life. I promise. It's pretty neat, because you actually have to play with the fourth dimension, and you're doing it right now, but you may or may not realize it. So the first step really is to realize that change doesn't occur out here in these three dimensions. Change actually occurs in that fourth dimension. And what's the fourth dimension? Well, it's any place that's not one of the three dimensions. Anything you can measure that's not one of the three dimensions. So you can measure length, right? You can measure width, and you can measure depth with a ruler. You can break all those things out. So think about some of the other things you can measure in your life. So one of them would be time. You measure time, right? Because you know what time it is. We have these tools to do it, but it's not, you don't do it with a measuring tape. Instead, you do it with a clock. What about your desire? Like how bad you actually want something, or your level of belief? That's another thing that you can measure. So change actually is going to occur when the desire for something new becomes stronger than the habit force that's already in play. And habit force is basically when you do something every single day, there's a certain amount of momentum that carries with it. It's almost like gravity. So habit force is becoming that thing that drives you to do what you do, whether you're aware of it or whether you're consciously forcing or doing it, right? It's that thing that you do on a daily basis, whether it's brushing your teeth first thing in the morning, if you do that, eating at a certain time, or listening to a certain radio station when you're on your way to work, or a certain Pandora station now that we don't all listen to the radio. That's like your habit. So the moment your desire becomes larger than that habit force is the moment when actually change can actually start to occur. And that desire, that level of desire, is actually in the fourth dimension. So first thing you have to do is make sure that your desire is stronger than your habit. Also, you would want to be able to look at one of the other things you can measure, which is your level of belief. You have to actually learn to believe that something is possible before it will actually be so. You actually have to practice this, and the way we do this is through repetition. The way we learn everything is really through repetition, or it's always actually repetition, but sometimes we don't get it until it's a big consequence for not learning it sooner. But usually we have a lot of little warning signs. So that moment of change actually comes when time is actually going to intersect with the three dimensions that we normally talk about. So if we're in a place with certain objects, we've got to actually interact with it on a certain level of time. So this is why sometimes it takes time for things to manifest for us when we consider how much we desire it. And the more we desire something, the more we believe that it's a possibility, the more we can step into that feeling of having already accomplished it. Well, then we get into that space where we feel that level of fulfillment when we've accomplished it, right? Because whenever you accomplish whatever you're going after, you feel a certain level of fulfillment rather than that level of desire. So a lot of us, we're traditionally taught that we'll feel that fulfillment when we've accomplished it, but it's really almost the other way around. When we actually feel the fulfillment, then we will have accomplished it. So by using some of these techniques, you can actually get yourself to that feeling faster. So what are these techniques, right? So first of all, you got to be very, very clear on what it is that you want to happen. A lot of times we fumble through life and we kind of have a gray area of what we think we want to have happen, and we kind of have a general direction, but we don't make it clear. And it's very hard to do any technique, and it's very hard to go after anything that we want if we don't actually have a clear vision of it. So the first thing, whatever you desire, I don't care what it is, it doesn't matter to me at all. Act in love and growth and abundance mindset, right? You don't wish anything poor for anybody else, but you want to actually wish for more for you, right? And that doesn't mean you're taking away from anybody else. You want to have better feelings, you want to have better relationships, you want to have more money, you want to have more toys, you want to have a bigger house, or you want to have more friends, whatever it might be. Pick that thing and get very, very specific. If it's a bigger house, then pick out how many square feet, how many bathrooms, how many bedrooms, what is it made out of? Get really specific. What's the roof like? What's the walls made out of? Is it shingles? Is it stone? Is it what is it? How many does it have? 100 windows? Does it have 10 windows? Does it have floor to ceiling windows? Picture it super accurately, whatever that thing is. Actually get very clear on that desire. Once you get clear on that desire, you can actually spend time manifesting it in the fourth dimension. So how do we do that? Well, there's a couple different exercises, right? There's one thing we were told not to do growing up, which, well, most of us were told not to, which is daydreaming, right? If you were daydreaming as a child, then you are going to be really, really good at this if you can get back into that habit. I spoke with a good friend of mine, Ronnie Turiaf, who NBA player, and he grew up in Jamaica and was in poverty-stricken place. And what did he do to get out of that? He actually stared out the window and saw what was going on, his friends in the ghetto and all these. He actually stared out the window and then realized, you know what, I'm not going to go out there. I'm not going to go out into that world. I'm going to stay right here, and I am going to actually visualize what I want my life to be like. So as you have this clear picture of what you want to accomplish, it's really simple. You just have to make time to do this. You have to practice focusing on it. So when you have this clear picture of what you want, make it, close your eyes, lay down, and it's best to do this right before you actually fall asleep. You're going to want to lay down and actually close your eyes and visualize, or you could stare off into space and kind of focus it being right there out in front of you. And don't just focus on how it would feel if that happens or when that happens. Focus on how it's feeling as it's happening. Make it as real as you possibly can in your mind's eye, in your head, in your heart, in your every part of your being. So if you want a promotion, well, what comes with that promotion? Maybe you get some congratulations, maybe you get a card, maybe you get some gifts, maybe you feel the sense of pride and excitement and that anything is possible, and your friends and family are all excited for you. So once you have that promotion, you would start to see these things happening. So actually picture these things happening with clarity, with feeling, with love and excitement. Find these things happening in your mind's eye, in your heart, and know them to be true. Once you've done that, you've now planted a seed. You've planted a seed just like as if you would plant a seed in the spring. So it's time to kind of start watering that seed and nurturing that seed. So how do you do that? Well, one is by doing this exercise consistently, this visualization, this daydreaming or meditation. You want to make sure it's present tense, you have the feeling, and you want to have the detail. And the more often and the longer you can do it for, the sooner it will come into your reality. You also want to have this level of belief. If you don't believe it to be possible, it's going to take some time. It's going to take a decent amount of time till you can actually believe it to be possible. So you might want to have little steps along the way. You might want to pull back and know that that's your ultimate goal, but maybe I need to have one or two things happen so I can actually believe that to be true. When you do this, it's going to actually deliver you what I like to call inspired action. It's going to inspire you to get up and do something. Do the next possible step to make what you want a reality. If it's that house, well, just go on the internet and go check out Zillow or one of those sites and start searching for houses in the area that you want and getting an idea of what the prices are, so you can get a better, more clear definition in your head of what it is that you want to accomplish. Maybe even once you do that, you know, well, the next step is actually calling up a broker. So once you start seeing some houses that you might want, if that's what you're going for, then start calling some of those brokers so you can actually visit it, walk around them, actually feel what it's like to be inside them, get that level of clarity even brighter, and go back and do more of your visualization. Once you've actually done one step, the next step will reveal itself. I know for me, I get stuck in my head here and I try to plan everything out, and I'm trying to do some things that are bigger than I've ever done before, and I know them to be possible, but I know that if I sit there and try to plan it all out in my head, what ends up happening is I get overwhelmed. I might be able to see 5 or 6 steps forward, but if I don't start acting on those steps, what ends up happening is I get to that 6th step and I'm like, wait, this is getting complicated. Let me see if there's no way I can rework this. And I start replaying it in my head. And what it actually ultimately does is slows me down. And it doesn't allow me to actually execute on what I want to get. So if you've got one step ahead of you that you know you need to take it. Take it as quickly as possible. So you want to take that step and make the move and just make it happen. Sorry, a call came in there. And if you guys have any questions while I'm doing this, please feel free to comment here, and I will certainly answer that for you. So that once you've done the one step, the next one will reveal itself. It's kind of like a GPS system in the car. You don't get all the directions to where you need to go, and that would be really overwhelming. If you were just going to take a big journey, which hopefully you're dreaming big and you want big things and you want some huge changes for yourself, and more greatness to come into your life, and I would guarantee you already have more than you even realize, but hopefully you have a lot of desire for something more. And when you have that, it's like taking a long trip. You don't want to know all the steps up front. Then it seems like the trip is going to be so much. You don't want to know every single turn. You want to know, like, you know, a little bit up in front. You know, you might want to have an overall idea and you want to plan a certain amount, but you want to have a vision of where you're going to go and when you want to be there. Same thing with this process. So make sure you take one step at a time and realize that sometimes the second step or third step doesn't reveal itself until you've accomplished the first one, rather than getting overwhelmed by trying to plan it all out. So then once you've been doing that, you really want to look for proof. Look for proof that this is working. Don't look for proof that it's not working. A lot of times what we assume, actually your assumptions end up creating your reality. So make assumptions that work in your favor, that get you closer to your desires. If you can do that, man, so much good stuff comes. And, you know, it happens to me sometimes where I might see some evidence that is not what I want to see. And sometimes maybe my wife and I will be talking about something going on and we're like a little concerned. And it gets to a point where it's like really quickly, one of us has to shut the other one down and say, listen, if you don't want that to be your reality, let's not focus on it. Let's think about how we want it to be and what the turnaround might be. And I tell you, it works all of the time. I mean, I'd love to give examples, but that will be another video because that's a whole video in itself. So don't discount the little things that might show you that this is true. You know, they're going to have little tidbits along the way where somebody might just appear in your life that you've never ever met before, and they might have one answer to solve one of your many conundrums or problems or opportunities, or they might be that one person that could lead you in the right direction, and it could be from the most random place. The universe does some cool things like that, where it conspires to make what your thoughts are to actually come here in this reality. So make sure you look at those little things. Make sure you don't discount them and you appreciate them, and look for the opportunity everywhere. If you're doing that, that's going to build proof. That's going to build belief. That's going to make you feel like you're working towards what you want, and it's actually coming to you, and it wants you just as bad as you want it. Then, of course, you want to stay focused. And this is such a tough thing for us to do this day and age, is to stay focused. There's so many gadgets. There's like email, there's notifications on Facebook and Instagram. And I suggest you turn all those notifications off on your phone. I suggest that you just try to stay focused on whatever you're doing and the task at hand all the time. So if you're checking emails, just check emails. Don't be checking emails and then text messages and voicemail. We have all these distractions nowadays, and it's great to have that information at our fingertips, but if it's constantly prodding at us and dinging and dinging, it's going to be very hard for us to stay focused. So there's a lot of people that have ADD or ADHD or whatever you want to call it. The reality is we all get bombarded with so much information these days. It's up to us to filter that stuff out. So filter that stuff out by turning off those notifications and the interruptions. Maybe put the phone in the other room. Maybe try a day with no electronics. This is a revolution to some people. It's actually really hard to do. I try to do it myself, and I always feel a lot better once I've spent a day without any electronics. And it's amazing how much time you actually end up having without any TV or any phone or any computer and all the cool new things you end up finding doing. So you want to stay focused. And how do you stay focused? Well, 1, turn off those distractions. 2, make it a ritual. Make it that at a certain time, hopefully right before you get to bed, and for a few minutes in the morning, think about that thing that you want and visualize it as real. You don't have to spend more than 5 minutes on it. The more time you spend on it, the more real it's going to be, the more quickly it will come. But if you want to just start off, give yourself 5 minutes before you go to bed, as you're laying in bed, going to fall asleep, turn off the TV, and just use your imagination. Just think about what you want and how good it feels to already have it, and how that all works, and picture it for yourself, and things start to happen. Another thing that really helps is writing it down and writing down the schedule. So write down clearly what you want, and then the times you're going to actually spend and dedicate for this. If you do that, I promise you it's going to start to feel more real, and you're going to start to see some evidence, and things will really start to shift. And for some of you, it's going to happen like that. It's going to be so quick. For others, and for depending on some of the things that you want to do, it's going to take a little bit longer. It really depends on your level of belief, your level of emotion, and the practice with it. Also, keep away from those disbelievers, those people that say you can't do it. There's so many of them out there, that people that are stuck in their place, and wherever you are, people are going to disbelieve you can go somewhere else, because change is not an easy thing. I mean, it can be after practice, but the reality is change takes effort. It takes dedication. It takes focus. It takes getting clear on what you want to change, and it takes actually spending the time to do it. So that 5 minutes I'm suggesting to do before bed, and when you wake up, if you think that's easy, then go do it, and show me that it's easy. I mean, just prove it, because a lot of us won't even take 5 minutes to think about what we want for ourselves. And I've been guilty of it myself plenty of times. And as I do it, the more I do it, the more satisfying and fulfilling it is, because it gives me that inspired action, and then I start to see results coming in, and I see evidence of what I want. I promise you, it works. Now remember, this is an exercise. Exercises take practice. If you want bigger biceps, what do? You go to the gym. Are your biceps bigger the first day after? Maybe a little bit. Gets a little bit of improvement, right? But it's continuous effort. Then all of a sudden, you start to see your body changing, and it becomes easier to do the same exercise. So if you actually do this with yourself and give yourself that little bit of extra input and tenacity, and actually consistently work on yourself, just like you do with your muscles, you do this with your idea, your dream, your desire, what it is that you want. Do this with consistency. You do this with consistency, and all of a sudden that ability to do it is going to get better. Your ability to focus on it's going to be better. Your ability to imagine it's going to get better. The clarity is going to get clear. Looking for the evidence, looking for the proof, you're going to start to see it all over the place, all over the place. So make sure you realize that this takes practice and exercise. It's just like a muscle. And muscles are great because you can see it like in life, and it manifests itself so quickly on your own body. But this also happens with all the things. It's just the connections to seeing it are a little bit different. And you're getting exactly everything you are visualizing. I promise you. If you visualize right now that money's hard to come by, money's going to be hard to come by. That's just... So if you're saying that to yourself, you're saying it out loud, stop. Just say, money comes easy to me. Money comes all the time. I started practicing again just recently, and it turned out I found a check for $1.21 from IBM. It's just $1.21, but I didn't know I was getting it. I was like, wow, this is pretty cool. Then all of a sudden I found a $25 check from the AMA. I was like, wow, this is really working. See this little bit of evidence, right? And then all of a sudden I get something from 2013 taxes from the IRS that I had something like $46,000 coming to me. Whoa. Appreciation, and I had no idea this was coming to me. I was just like, wow, that's more than most people make in a year. And I swear it's just because I was doing this manifestation exercise, and it wouldn't have come if I didn't do this. So practice this, change your words, change your thoughts. You're going to change your reality, I promise. So 10, be tenacious. Tenacious, for those of you that may not know what it is, just keep at it. Don't give up. Don't give up. And I hate to say don'ts, just keep at it. Keep at it. Keep doing it. Keep making it happen. Keep visualizing. Keep believing. Keep looking for evidence. Keep exercising that muscle. Everything that you want is just on the other side of the next hill. And the path over the hill is actually the real fun part, because that's going to give you the stories later when you had to scale the mountain, when you had to actually do the hard parts, the ledge that you had to go over. If you were climbing a mountain, that's going to be the highlight story when you get to the other side, right? So when shit happens and they're like, wow, this is totally taking me off course, realize that is going to be your story that you get to tell, that you actually had to deal with. When things just come easily to you, there's no growth. There's no fun in that. There's like just getting a bunch of shit. Like, I promise you, like, also when I made a bunch of money and everything came easy to me, I was lost. I was lost more than ever. And here I was, I had everything I wanted, and I was like lost. So it was actually in the journey of getting there that made the best stories. And then when I stopped doing things, guess what? I stopped receiving. I stopped getting these amazing experiences. And yeah, there's a lot of luxuries that come along with the finances and everything, but there's also a lot of responsibilities and difficulties. So cherish every problem you have, because when you have those problems, what are perceived as problems, they're really opportunities for you to make a good fucking story. And good stories build character. Good stories build infinite bliss. Good stories build you to be more than you ever thought you could be. So think about that. When you run into those obstacles, be tenacious. Just look for the next step. It's only one more step. Just think about the next step. If you were freezing cold and you were going to die and you needed water, if you just sat there and waited for somebody to come rescue you, you probably would die from hypothermia or no water. But if you just took one step and said, okay, one more step, okay, one more step, okay, one more step, and just keep doing that, you are going to get where you need to go. Those are the people that survive. Those are the people that thrive. So realize whatever your situation is, wherever you are at, that's where you get to start from. That's where you get to start from. And the worse the situation is right now, the better your story is going to be. It's going to be so much better. The more shit you're dealing with, if you are, charging your phone. There's actually some people that have cell phones in West Palm Beach that are homeless, and I see them charging their phones and hanging out all the time, actually on Facebook, world we live in, homeless people watching Facebook Live. If that's your situation right now, hey, charge your phone up. Start making dials, get a job, do something that works you towards what you want. Your dream is up to you to manifest and create. And finally, monitor your progress. I keep getting calls in here. We all make leaps. We all grow so much. And it's really easy to miss it. It's so easy to miss where we've improved and made a better life. And we don't realize how far we've come, because there's always more. There's always some desire that we have. So if you monitor your progress and find some way to do it for you, as you do each step, just write down what those steps are. And then what's the outcome of that step? Did it get me closer? Did it get me farther away? You start to find things that actually drive you closer to what you want. It's not going to be a direct path. You're going to kind of go like this, and then you're going to go like this, and then you're going to go like this, and then something's going to knock you down over here, and then you're going to leap over here, and all of a sudden things are just going to be magic. But if you monitor this progress, you'll see it. It will help you stay motivated. It'll help you get to where you want to go. You consistently want to do this. So if you don't believe me, you can even ask that little guy right there that's been hanging out with me for this whole video. That guy was homeless, and he found me. And now he lives a life of luxury, flying in jets around and stuff. So if you have any questions, I'll stay on for a couple minutes here and answer any of those. I've got some of the action things that I've got to do, but this is a big part of what I love to do, is just try to give some people things that have worked for me, and realize that this all happens, it all starts right here. It actually starts out way out there. This is just a receiver unit for good ideas. But you have to allow those good ideas to come in, and you've got to take action on those. Just like if you were a boss and you had employees that, you gave them an idea to do and they went and did a good job, and they took that idea and ran with it, you'd give them more ideas. And if they didn't take it, then you'd probably be like, you know what? I don't need this guy around because he's not taking the ball and running with it. I'm not going to give him any more ideas. I'm going to just let him do his thing. And that's how God or the universe is, right? You're going to get good ideas as long as you start to implement them. But if you just take good ideas and then you don't even tell anybody about them, you keep them to yourself and don't execute on them, then you don't get any more ideas, and then you just watch TV and you kind of just kind of have a life like that, which some people may want. I know that's not what I want. I don't think people that tune into this, that's what they want. I think if you're watching this, then you want a reason, a rationale to move forward on these big ideas, these dreams, these desires you have. So to summarize for you, it's actually really simple. Realize that your big dreams, your big desires, that change from wherever you're at to go somewhere else, it's going to start on that fourth dimension. That fourth dimension is your level of desire, your level of belief in a certain amount of time, right? So you want to marry time, your belief, your desire. It's got to be stronger than the current things you're doing, the current things that you can measure out here. You got to get them all to fuse together. And the way to do that, the way to really get those things to fuse together, is to get clarity on that desire. When you have clarity on that desire, you got to visualize it as if it's already happened, or it's happening in this very, 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 very moment. That feeling, the detail, the smells, the sights, the sounds, whether it's applause or anything else. And then you'll get some inspired action, because you're going to have to do some work. So you'll find your next step. Take it. Take your next step. When you've taken that next step, another one will reveal itself. You might be able to see a few steps out in front of you, and just keep walking. Just one step at a time. Just one step at a time. And as you do that, look for proof that your goals are actually coming to fruition. Don't discount those little things. The opportunity that you're looking for is everywhere. Look at all the wealth and abundance around you. There is a ton of it. It's in the grass that's growing behind me in the winter here. It's in the buildings that you drive past on the way to work. It's in that new car that you just parked next to. It's in that new restaurant that just opened up, or the show and somebody getting to express themselves in their artistic way, and that song you listen to on the radio, in the air that you're breathing, in the water you're drinking, the food that you're eating. It is everywhere. There is so much abundance out there, especially here in the United States. So stay focused. Now stay focused on what your prize is, the eye on the prize. What is it that you want? And if you really want it, you won't let anything stop you. Everything should be an inspiration for why you want it more. Every obstacle should be an inspiration where I don't want to deal with this shit. I'm not accepting this. I'm changing my thoughts, so I change my reality. It should give you more reason to actually do the work, instead of feeling like, man, I didn't get everything I wanted today, so I'm not going to sit there and visualize what I really want. No, instead, I didn't get everything I want, so that's why I need to practice more so I can gain mastery in this. Look at it like that. Stay focused. Make a ritual. Make it every single time of the day. Before you go to bed and in the morning when you wake up is the best times I found, because you start off your day completely motivated, and when you do it at night before you go to bed, actually it gets into your subconscious a lot better, because your brain goes into theta right before you fall asleep. And a lot of times I'll actually have dreams about these things, and I'll have a dream that gives me some kind of inspired action when I wake up. You can ask my wife. I got a lot of dreams. I got good memory on my dreams, and they always have pretty good messages in them. And what I decide the message is actually what it is, right? So if you don't know what your dream means, well, whatever you decide it means is what it means. That better mean you're getting good shit. Getting what you want. Keep away from those people that hold you back. Keep away from those situations that hold you back, that tell you that you can't do it. That's just gonna make an impression on you. It's actually an attack. It's a psychic attack. It's bad. It's bad. It's bad. Don't worry. The people that support you, they will come find you. So as you get rid of those people that don't support you, make room, because some cool people are gonna show up, and they show up in the most unbelievable places. Like it's really interesting. It's a practice. It's exercise. The more you do it, the better you get at it. Promise. So just like a muscle, practice the visualization. Practice making it real. Practice making it clear. Hear the sound. Feel it. You can practice at stoplights. You can practice it when you're in the bathroom. You can practice it as often as you possibly can practice. The more you practice, the more clear, the more vivid, the more real you make it in the present tense, and believe that you have it, the sooner it will come into your hands. I promise. And be tenacious. Just don't give up. Realize you gotta practice consistency. Just keep doing it. Don't give up at any obstacle. The obstacle is the reason to do it. The obstacle is the story that you get to tell when you're done, that you overcame all kinds of bullshit to get here. And that's the fun part. That's the fun part. That's the part that inspires other people. That's the part that will keep you motivated for the next desire, because I promise you will have more. And the more you accomplish, the bigger desires you will have. And monitor your progress. Keep a log. Keep a quick log. Just each step that you've taken, and you'll see which ones actually help get you where you want to go. You'll see which ones get closer, which ones pull you farther away, which ones create some weird circumstances and events that you never could have guessed that actually give you a huge boost. And the farther down you are right now, guess what? That's the more power in reserve. It's like a catapult or a trampoline. The farther you push down on it, the more you can springboard. The bigger the obstacles you have to overcome right now are, the more potential you actually have. That's stored energy. As shittier things are, the stored energy is significantly more. Go look at Seal. Homeless guy singing on the streets, now married to Heidi Klum. Like, come on, really? Who doesn't have that dream? So monitor that progress. Thank you very much for tuning in. Johnny. Yeah, Johnny, that's great doing this, putting it on your bathroom mirror. Definitely do that, what inspires you on the mirror. And also whatever your goal might be, or if you have a limiting belief, like if we talked about money earlier, if you have this belief where you're like, money is difficult, money's scarce, write down on your mirror that money comes easily to me. Money comes easily to me. Look at yourself and say it. Say it until you believe it. I love myself is another great one. I am enough. The biggest limiting belief that people have is I am not enough and I am not lovable. So you can reframe it and rephrase it in your head and change your beliefs through repetition. That's one of the easiest ways to do it. And you can consistently do this. Put it on your mirror, read it, and yeah. Gabby, spot on. Money comes from known and unknown sources. I mean, I gave you guys an example earlier. So if this helped you, if this inspires you in any way, please share it. I have a YouTube page, I have a website, and just write me any comments or anything that you would like to share with other people, or like me to share, or any topics that you'd like me to put out there. It's awesome how the feedback I get from these videos. I will do more, I promise. I'm working towards it. The Raceway, the team there is doing amazing. Don't tell anybody. Next year is going to be crazy. All right, have a great day. Enjoy your holiday, and I'll be back with more of this great info, especially when I have good internet. Cheers.